right, folks, welcome to Roll With It, our roller hockey podcast. I'm your host, Seth Chan. This is episode number 5, I believe, on Roll With It. Thank you for joining us. This episode, we're going to go over all the exciting playoff action we had this past Monday. We had our 4 semifinal playoff games, and we're going to go over that and also preview next week's 2 finals as well, so give you an idea what to expect coming up here next week. Now, if you did miss this past week, playing wise or a spectator, you can go back and watch the games. We actually streamed all 4 games live on Facebook, and as a result, we transferred those games over to our YouTube library. Go to our YouTube page, DCHL Leagues, find that, or I believe I emailed out all the to all our players, email out the link to our playlist there for all playoff games. You can watch that and go back and relive it, reanalyze it, see what we saw, and maybe scout for next week's finals as well too, to give you an idea what to expect there. So watch those games, and again, we'll do that as much as we possibly can with roller hockey. We're short staffed, obviously. We're not here we can't afford to pay players or people to come out here and live stream a game. We look for volunteers. If you want to volunteer, please let me know. I'd love to have you volunteer and stream more games for us, and or maybe score games for us, so I can then go over and stream some more games upstairs. So let us know about that. But thank you for Claude Williams to come in, who plays in our ball hockey league. He came in and joined me, and we did the broadcast for all 4 games. We had a fun time doing it. And thanks for all the people who tuned in and engaged us during the broadcast with questions and fun comments. And we played back as well too. We kept them engaged and had some funny comebacks as well too. So go back and watch the game there in that regards. All right, let's get to the recap of last week's 4 semifinal games we had. Let's start off with the D1 action. Number 1 seed High Rollers against the number 4 seed Blades of Steel. As expected, the High Rollers won this game pretty comfortably by a score of 10-2. The only chance Blades of Steel had in this game was to keep it a low-scoring affair, and unfortunately, that didn't materialize for them. Their goalie, Andy Womack, had a great game. He made an unbelievable toe drag save to the sticks, to the glove side. If I recall correctly, it was unbelievable. He was lights out. But the domination RHL High Rollers were the number 1 seed showed on Monday night. They had zone time, they had quality chances, and there were just too much to overcome for Blades of Steel. And as a result, the High Rollers moved on to a 10-2 win, remaining undefeated. Have a couple of ties, but no losses. So they'll move on to play the winner of the 2 and 3 seed game, which actually ended up going to That's What She Said. That's What She Said, a 2 seed. Actually, surprisingly easily dispatched Rough Riders. I expect a closer game than that. But again, Dan Ridings was missing for the Rough Riders. Another player was missing. I think Steve Klopper was missing as well, too. And that may have hurt their depth in that regards. So the goals came early for That's What She Said. Rough Riders made a small rally, but they just couldn't be able to match the firepower. They fell behind early, and they just weren't able to catch up. And as a result, That's What She Said had a comfortable win in that regard, so they played very well. Mazir Fezbai got a good game in goal. Their goal score goals, left them down the scoring sheet there. And as expected in this division, the 1 and 2 seeds will face off in the finals. The 1 seed being the High Rollers going against the number 2 seed. That's What She Said. Should be a fun finals next week. We'll talk about the finals later on in the show in our next segment. Now moving on to the D2 semifinals that we had. The first game was the number 1 seed Little Big Men going against the number 4 seed Wheelers, the 1 and 7 Wheelers. As we talked about it, ad nauseum, week after week, the Wheelers aren't a 1 and 7 team. Let's be honest here. They had some attendance issues throughout the season, and their best player Kyle missed a lot of games as well too. Well, Kyle didn't miss this game, and it showed because the Wheelers not only covered the spread, if you want to call it that way, but they won the game outright in controlling fashion, 7-2 for a huge upset. What on paper is a huge upset, but let's be honest again, this is not really a major upset. Yes, seeding-wise, a major upset, record-wise, a major upset, but nothing against Little Big Men. They are a very good team, but they just had a raw deal. Sometimes you have a good record and you draw a team that really isn't what they're supposed to be, and you end up playing them, and the Wheelers were in the 4 seed. And unfortunately, the Little Big Men got the bad break as they played them, and they played them in a game where Kyle was superb. Kyle had 5 or 6 spectacular goals. Go back and watch the video on that one. It was just unbelievable, the moves he made. He was by far the best player on the floor the entire night. And had a tremendous game. But it wasn't just only Kyle. The Wheelers played probably the best game of the season, defensively speaking, as well too. Al, Tony, Lew Gonzaga, everybody else there as well too. I don't remember the entire roster that was there on Monday night, but they played a very good team-oriented game. They came back, they got the lead, and they held the lead, and they played good defense. And their goalie, Dennis Jimenez, as we have mentioned before, he was a guest on our podcast as well too. He can either be lights out, Super Dennis, or he could be horrible, Pooper Dennis. And he was definitely Super Dennis this past Monday night, as he was the key reason that Little Big Men were able to score more than 2 goals. That team scores goals. Little Big Men can score goals, and Jung Lee, and guys like that, but they weren't able to put any by there. Yeah, they're missing Toby. If I recall, no, I'm sorry, Toby's moved up now to that shit, but they're missing a couple of players. Little Big Ben were, but still, that was a pretty impressive win for the Wheelers as they upset the number 1 seed, Little Big Men, and move on to the finals, D2 finals. And I think everybody who was making predictions had that as upset alert, and it came to fruition. The other game was a 2 seed, the Hurricanes going against number 3 seed Stanley Capitals. Low scoring game as expected. The Hurricanes got the goals early. Actually, correction, Capitals scored first, but it was all Hurricanes afterwards. But it was a grind out game. It wasn't a high wheeling game in any regards whatsoever. And the Hurricanes held on to win 6-1. Dennis Jimenez, Dennis Owen, the other Dennis Owen had the goal. I believe also Dan Greenberg had a goal as well, too, if I recall correctly. So a good effort by the Hurricanes. They throttled down the offense of the Stanley Capitals after the early goal. They got nothing else in the game, so it was pretty much a whitewash in that regards, as the Hurricanes go off to win 6-1. Goalie Chris Hans. Was it Chris Hans in net? I know, I'm sorry, it was Dennis in net for the Capitals. Chris Hans was playing out this time around. So they did a pretty good job on controlling the Hurricanes' offense, but their offense just was not having a good day today. So the Capitals, as a result, fall to the Hurricanes 6-1. There's a recap of all 4 games. And when we come back from our break here, we're going to talk about the championship games. We've got 2 consolation games at 8 o'clock and at 10:15. Between those consolation games, we're going to have the 2 championship games. We're going to come back and preview that. Then later on in the show, we're going to have an interview with one of the teams involved, the players involved. Lew Gonzaga, the new captain next season, officially, of the Wheelers, as they have a rotating list of captains. He's his turn to take over now and be captain. Lew Gonzaga will join us and give us his thoughts on the Wheelers, the team in general, how he got in roller, about the Wheelers roller in general before they actually joined RHL, about his favorite team, the Capitals, and much, much more. So we'll have that coming up as well, too. Don't go away. We're back with the playoff, with the championship preview in a moment here on Roll. Your Roller Hockey Podcast, episode number 5. This is the playoff recap episode of the semifinals and also a preview of the championship game moving forward for Monday. And now we're under a segment talking about the 2 championship games coming up here. And before I get to that, remind you all, we start again with a new season, not this Monday, which is the final week of the season, but the following Monday. And we're looking to get more players involved. We're looking to get some more D1 players involved. We especially need goalies. We'd like to get 2 more rec goalies, so D2 goalies. I don't want to say rec. So if you are interested in playing roller hockey on Monday nights at the Rockland Sportsplex, please come out, spread the word. We're going to get 2 goalies, maybe a couple more D1 players to have a very strong D1 division again next season, even a better division next season as well too. So please email us, contact us, and get involved. The season starts on December the 10th, 2 weeks from this past Monday. So let's not get to the playoff championship preview. Both games will be streamed as promised. The game at 8:45 is going to be the D1 finals between the High Rollers And number 2 seed, That's What She Said. High Rollers are undefeated. They're 2-0 against That's What She Said. But let's look at the numbers here closely here, folks. Even though the High Rollers are the 1 seed and they have beaten That's What She Said, there were 2 very close games. I believe one was maybe an empty net, 1 goal game plus an empty net. And the other one was a 1 goal game affair as well, too. So this is by no means a favored number 1 seed in the championship game here. I'm interested to see what That's What She Said will do on Monday coming up here. What players show up, but assuming that players show up, this will be the first time where That's What She Said is a full roster against the High Rollers. So to me, this is a very intriguing finals. And I am not ready to put this in the High Rollers column whatsoever. It should be a fun game. And, I don't know what the spread's going to be, but whatever the spread is, I would be tempted to take That's What She Said plus the goals or the money line, because I think they're good value here, assuming that players show up there in their entire roster out there. So the key to this game is going to be pretty simple. You got 2 outstanding goalies in net. Stephen Dorsey for High Rollers, and That's What She Said. It's got Mazir Fesbike in there as well, too. The key is going to be which team plays the best defense. They both can score goals, lights out. Which team can get puck possession, which team can finish. It's going to be about defense first. It's going to be about taking advantage of opportunities second. Assuming both teams will go up and down the floor like they've done all season long, that should be fun to watch. But whichever team has the best back check and defense, to me, is the key in winning this game. Now, High Rollers don't have a deep bench in general, so it's going to be interesting to see if all 7 players that are on the floor, that are on the roster will show up, because they definitely need more than 5 players to be successful in the playoffs, in my personal opinion, especially against a top team like That's What She Said. So hopefully they have their depth players there. That's what they need as well. So key number 2 is for the High Rollers to have their depth players available in that regards. And for That's What She Said, it's going to be pretty simple. If Steve Willoughby's there, they got depth scoring. These got to come out in waves. What they have to do is basically tire out the High Rollers and come out in waves and make them earn every goal they have out there. So it should be a fun affair. As I said, if I'm the lines maker for this game, it's going to be pretty much, High Rollers -1.5, maybe -1. It would be a very light line. Money line, maybe 125 or maybe -120 on the High Rollers, assuming all the players are there. But That's What She Said, maybe the better bet here. So just to give you some perspective on that. We're using it only for entertainment purposes only. But you have an idea of where the line should be. My personal opinion from that standpoint. So fun game, 8:45. Check out our DCHL League's Facebook page for a live broadcast there. Now going to the other game, it's the Wheelers against the 4-seed Wheelers. 4-seed used very loosely here. The 4-seed Wheelers against the number 2-seed Hurricanes. The 1-seed got knocked out, but that you would figure that happened. The 2-seed Hurricanes would be the favorite, right? I'm going to say no, because again, if Kyle's there and the entire or the main players from the Wheelers show up, they're, to me, the favorites in this division, because they have more scoring power. They have more scoring depth. And they can play defense like they did last past Monday. They may be the better overall team. So we'll see if that plays out. Key is going to be which Dennis Jimenez will show up in net. Will it be Super Dennis or Pooper Dennis? We don't know that yet. So it's always a wild card with Dennis. We'll see how that plays out. But to me, the 2-seed is not the favorite here. I would have assuming the Wheelers have Kyle there, and the main players, I would put the Wheelers as maybe as a 1 to 1.5 goal favorites here, as high as that. And maybe a slight favor of the money line as well, too. Probably about, -110, 115, close. Maybe -120, so on the money line. So it should be interesting to see how this all plays out. But this is a situation where the seeding doesn't matter. I think the better team or the better roster team, assuming Kyle's there, maybe the Wheelers here. That's why when there was a goalie situation coming up this season where Mazir Fesbike are on both teams. He was on the Wheelers and the Hurricanes. Hurricanes dropped from Division 1 to Division 2, which created a conundrum. Which team would he play for, the Wheelers or would he play for the Hurricanes? He left it up to me as the commissioner in a very smart decision on his part, because it takes away the politics of having to tell one team or the other. I think he chose them. But at the same time, it allows me to balance the teams out by competitive balance. I chose to put him on the Wheelers because I thought the Wheelers had the weaker roster. I'm sorry, I put him on the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes had the slightly weaker roster on paper, and put Dennis on the Wheelers. So that's the reason we made that move. I made that move, and I think now we'll see if that move pans out, because Hurricanes definitely need Mazir Fesbike to be strong, because he's going to face Kyle. If Kyle's there, Mazahir is going to earn his money, and that's why he was put the Hurricanes to be that back end to make it equal and fair. So now we've got two balanced, quote unquote, balanced rosters, top goalie and Mazahir for the Hurricanes, and to hopefully counterattack some of the scoring power from Kyle and the Wheelers. Should be a fun game now. The Wheelers versus the Hurricanes. The Wheelers are 0-2 against the Hurricanes. But again, throw all that out because, again, the Wheelers players missed a lot of games. Their top players missed games. The 2 times they played the Hurricanes, their top players weren't there. So those 2 blowout losses to the Hurricanes means absolutely squadouche here. Nothing whatsoever. So, again, to me, the Wheelers are a slight favorite. It should be a fun game to watch. And it should be fun if it ends up being a Kyle versus Kyle on the Wheelers going against Mazahir Besfaig on the Hurricanes. At the same time, Dennis Owen, the star player of the Hurricanes, going against Dennis Jimenez, the goalie of the Wheelers. But other key the Hurricanes got to do is they have to actually get some depth scoring here. Nick Berry's there. He's been having a super season. They need their third, fourth, and fifth scorers. Jason Gorley had a good game for them this past Monday. He had a couple of goals. Almost had a hat trick, if I recall correctly. Maybe he had a hat trick. I don't remember if he got a third goal or not, but he had a great game. Guys like Jason, guys like Nick Berry, guys like Dan Greenberg, they got to step up and score those goals to give Dennis Owen some help there. If they can do that and step up, then they have a great chance to win this game. So it's going to be secondary scoring. It's going to be key for the Hurricanes. And, of course, talking about the Wheelers, they got to play the same defensive style they played last time. Shut out D and have Dennis be lights out. If they can do that, they get goals from Kyle and the crew. So not worried about the goal scoring. More worried about the defensive part for the Wheelers here. So, again, that game is going to be at 9:30. It's going to be streamed on Facebook Live. Watch it. Figure out who's going to stream that game and get it going for you. Hopefully you watch it and be engaged and see who the new D2 championship is going to be. Hurricanes have won a championship before in D1, but Wheelers have not. So the Wheelers are looking forward to winning this championship if they possibly can. So we'll definitely have a new D1 champion crowned, and we're going to have a new D2 champion, maybe a first-time D2 champion, and definitely a first-time D1 champion coming up here on Monday. So there you go. The playoff preview. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk to Lew Gonzaga, the new captain of the Wheelers starting next season. Talk more about the Wheelers, about their playoff success, about the Washington Capitals, and learn about Lew as well, too. So come back, join us. Lew will be here to go over all information. Don't go away. To roll with it, joined now by our special guest for this episode here. It's Lew Gonzaga. Is it Gonzaga or Gonzaga?
Gonzaga.
It is Gonzaga. Lew Gonzaga from the Wheelers. Lew, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. And we just noticed the fact that I'm wearing an Under jersey, Lew, and you're wearing a Capitals jersey.
Yeah. I'm wearing the right jersey. You're wearing the wrong jersey.
Let's don't get started there quite yet. But Lew, welcome to the show. And
thanks.
I don't know much about you, Lew. Obviously, you play with the Wheelers. So let's start off the bat with the Wheelers. You joined our league through the Wheelers, our inline team. Who are the Wheelers? How did you guys get started? And how did you get involved with the Wheelers?
Yeah, so I actually started playing with the Wheelers. We had a pickup game that we used to play in Kensington outside. It was a great place right off of Saul Road. It was just a place where a bunch of guys would get together on Sundays, usually at around 10 o'clock, and we'd play till about 1 o'clock. It was just a mixed bag of guys, but a lot of the guys we've stayed in contact with, obviously. And when we heard about the Indoor Roller League, because in the Saul Road, they actually knocked that site down to build a middle school. So it kind of ended our run of playing every Sunday. And we were always looking for a place. We actually started going up to Germantown to play for a couple weeks, but with a lot of the guys being in DC and in different parts of Maryland, it became a little bit difficult to have, everybody come into Germantown. And so we were always kind of looking for the next place to play. And your league came around at the best time for us, and so we just connected and figured that we could transfer all the guys from there into this league, and so far it's worked out well for us.
Now, the group that you have, how many players in that pickup group or in that group?
Well, there's me, Tony, Al, Danny, Kim, Rob, Kevin, who doesn't play on our team, used to play with us. Ian used to play with us outside, and he's not on the team this season. And a couple other guys that Jerry plays with us, and so a couple other guys that Pete. I keep forgetting the names, Pete. But a lot of the guys that are on our team now are guys that were playing in that pickup Kensington League, and so I would say that 95% of our team now is the same guys.
That's terrific. Now, how did that group came about? Just
that's a good question. So I think that those guys had been playing for a while, and then I showed up through a friend, Ricky Bernstein. He had brought me over to play, and then I just kept coming every Sunday, hoping that those guys would let me play, and they're a good group of guys, and so it ended up just being a good fit. But it was really through a friend that I got introduced to the group. But from my understanding, they had been playing there for quite some time before then. So
now I'm not familiar how this connects to the Wheelers, but I know that there's a connection there. The Dewey rink. From what I understand, that you guys play there. Is it the same area?
Yeah. So and so what ended up happening? You mean the rink that they're putting up now?
Yeah, the one that's refurbished in Dewey. Yeah, they've already funding for, but they haven't actually gone ahead and finished the project yet, from what I understand.
Yeah. So what ended up happening is when they took that league, or not the league, but when they took that facility down and put the middle school, I believe the neighborhood had petitioned trying to get them to not build the school, because they were concerned about traffic, all that kind of stuff. And so immediately after the league or the facility went down, I believe some of the guys from the league had gone up to the county seeing if they could relocate the rink. And I think it's been a long time coming, but apparently I think Montgomery County is now building the rink, and there's even some assistance, I believe, from the Caps who are donating some of the boards, which is kind of neat. I haven't been as involved in that process or even know all the details. I know some of the guys that are on the group have been more involved than me. So I'm just hoping that it comes up and we'll be able to continue our Sunday hockey.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, from what I know, the funding has been approved. I think it's about almost 2 years ago, but they have just been delayed and getting getting started. And the Caps are donating the boards and everything else that needs to be done. So yes, it's going to be a sports courts type surface. Similar out there in Hagerstown, that's been done. Similar out there in Watkins Pond. I think Watkins Pond has that same thing as well too. And then you mentioned Germantown. It's where I live, close to where I live, 5 minutes away.
It's a great rink in Germantown.
That's going to be concrete rink, but that's also going to be refurbished too. I'm waiting on that.
Is that right? Is that going to be the same type? Okay.
Yes. In fact, I've been emailing Bob Green, the MCB commission gentleman, a man, and the council. He's telling me the fact it's been delayed, but it's going to be done hopefully by spring. So hopefully both Dewey and Germantown will be done by spring of next year.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Yes, there's just not enough facility out there for rollers. That'd be great to have those two facilities to work with. I agree with that.
I agree.
So yes, that's how the Wheelers got started. When we got started, initially it was ball first. It went to puck.
Yeah.
Was your current group a puck group or a ball group?
So no, when we played in Kensington, we played with a ball. And so and I know that when we began playing in the roller league, it was a ball, but it was just difficult to kind of keep the right density on the ball, I guess, with the surface. And so the decision was made to switch to a puck now. So most of the guys that we played with outside, at least in the Kensington pickup, was ball. And so there was an adjustment. Yeah, there was definitely an adjustment for guys that don't play ice hockey. There's definitely an adjustment going from ball to puck, such as myself.
So a topic, which one do you prefer?
I'd be lying to you if I prefer a puck. I think I have better control of a ball.
Really? Okay.
Than a puck. But I'm getting adjusted to the puck. It's taken more time than I thought. I think it's because of my age, but I like it. I mean, it's more challenging, and so I'm adapting to it. And I think ultimately, it's probably going to help my game, even if we go back to a ball when we move to the other facilities in Dewey.
Yeah, it's a good point. And also, it's more of a truer ice hockey game. So if you're really an ice hockey fan,
Of course.
the puck and the movement and something that's not more close to ice hockey as well, too. So let's talk
course.
about Lew, the person.
Yeah.
What about your personal background hockey experience? How'd you start playing hockey? Was it ice? Was it roller?
No. I mean, my dad had put me in Montgomery hockey when I was young, but I didn't really take to it that well. I just wasn't a great skater, so I think I did a season of that. And then just a couple guys in the neighborhood where I used to live, which was right there in Rockville, Rockshire. I don't know if you know where that is. It's kind of right next to Wooten. Yeah, like Wooten High School.
Yes.
And so a couple of the guys that I used to roll around with in the neighborhood, we all kind of started just playing at random courts. We would just go to a different court kind of every day after school. We would use recycling bins as goals.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And we would just play, and we would have a great time. And so that's how I started playing roller hockey. And so when I heard that there was a roller hockey league, or not a league, but just pick up in Kensington, and started playing there, I mean, it just kind of brought me back to being a kid. So
any ice experience? I mean,
no. I mean, outside of me playing when I was young.
Yes.
Not really any ice hockey experience now.
Okay. Talk about ice hockey. Let's talk about the jersey you're wearing right now, the Washington Capitals.
That's right.
How long have you been a Washington Capitals fan? Don't say 1 year. Don't say
no. That's the biggest insult. I would have to say that I started being a Caps fan in 1987.
Wow. Okay, that's when I probably moved out. Back then, was Terry Murray the coach? Was Terry Murray still here? Okay, all right. I'm trying to go back to my days here. Yeah, okay.
So I was young, and I just remember my sister. She actually had a boyfriend that she used to bring over to the house, and the guy was a big hockey fan, and he was a huge Caps fan. And so eventually, for my birthday, they bought me a Caps jersey. Just because I started liking them, just seeing them watch the games, wanting to hang out with your older sibling. And so I just started following them. And ever since, I mean, I've gone through all the ups and downs with the Caps, so I can say that I've been a Caps fan for long enough to where I deserve to celebrate. Yeah.
Yes, you've earned that right to celebrate out there. And your personal perspective, obviously everybody's got a different perspective on the Capitals. Your personal perspective on their struggles, and what was the key to you that turned it around last year to get the cup for you?
I felt, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint what kind of turned it around for them. I would say that definitely the focus was there last year. In previous years, you kind of hear all the rumors where there just wasn't a certain amount of focus, players going out, during the Mike Green era. The guys were young, right? So you had, Backstrom, you had Green, you had Ovechkin, you had all the guys that were kind of young and maybe, getting out there on the DC scene and partying a little bit. But now it's just, I felt like it was a good mix of young guys, veterans. Our young guys, when the Caps started doing well, they were too young and they didn't really have the veteran leadership, I felt like, at that time to kind of hone everybody in. And so I feel like now those guys are mature and they're helping bring up the younger group. And so I think that they kept everybody in line. And it seems like they got rid of the right guys, picked up the right guys. You just had everybody gel at the same time. I don't know. It was just kind of like a magical run, I would say.
And and well deserved, because it suffered a long time with some pain loss, so it was well deserved. Now let's talk about this season. Obviously the biggest change was the exit of your head coach. Currently our head coach, Barry Trotz, and of course not to also Wade Lambert left as well too, and another key person, Mitch Korn, the goalie coach left as well. The three
Mm-hmm.
big people who left. Did you think that Barry Trotz should have been paid and should have Washington Capitol? Your thoughts on that one? Because he gave him the money again, obviously. So
I think that the relationship was kind of tarnished before the end of the season, and so I feel that by not talking extension and maybe having him be a lame duck, I feel like that rubbed him the wrong way, and so when when you leave or when you win the championship, you can go out on top and go start somewhere else, and so. I think that he was comfortable leaving on his terms. He was a little salty about, the lame duck hanging around. And so I thought it was a good time for him to leave, to be honest. I mean, I thought I was okay with it. I felt like as long as you keep the core team together, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like these guys can rally around another coach. And so I'm okay with the decision.
Your thoughts on the new coach Todd Reardon so far?
That's TBD for me right now. I'd have to say that I feel like he needs to shift the lines around a little bit. I feel like our defense is lacking. We didn't. Obviously, we're not going to have the same defense that we had at the end of last season, but I do feel like we're taking a step back defensively and. We're scoring a lot of goals, which is nice, but we're also letting in a lot of goals. So yeah. So I think once we fix that, I think we're definitely a playoff caliber team, and I think that we'll adjust and go on a streak here. But yeah, we definitely we missed Wilson for the first 15 games, 16 games. Yeah, so not having him out there frees up the middle of the ice, and so I think. Having him back will help us.
So now got transitioning slowly into the RHL here. You play with Tony Cheeseborough.
Yeah, he's a big Caps fan.
Do you guys go back and forth? Do you guys need each other? You guys have side bets? I mean, what goes on there?
Oh man, jeez, it's not just him; it's him and Ian.
That's right. So, he's also a Penguins fan, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say this. It's hard to kind of say anything to Penguins fans because they win, right?
Well, they've had your number for almost all the time. Now you got it back. Yes, right.
Exactly. Which I'll say, winning the cup was awesome, and my wife will attest to this. Winning the cup was awesome, but beating Pittsburgh in that game 6, it just felt better than winning the cup. Like I haven't been. I jumped out of my seat. I was just super emotional. It was just great to see them beat Pittsburgh the way that they did, because you knew if it went to a game 7, most likely things wouldn't have bounced our way. Yeah, exactly. The pressure's on. Most likely things wouldn't have bounced our way, and maybe Pittsburgh goes on to win another cup, right?
Right.
But but beating Pittsburgh to me, and I went downtown to watch the final, but beating Pittsburgh to me, and this is crazy to say, was almost sweeter than winning the cup.
You know what? That's a great point. And I think on top of that, maybe beating Pittsburgh is the propulsion needed.
Yeah.
It's
like you get that hurdle out of the way.
Now
it's true.
It's easy. Downhill from there.
I mean, but then you go down a couple games to Toronto, and you're like, oh shit, maybe that wasn't the hurdle.
Yeah, I think you think of Tampa Bay, right? Is it Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
Now, going back to RHL, you've been playing with the Wheelers. You've joined our league from the get-go. Your thoughts on RHL, what we have here in terms of players and teams, and what you like, what you may not like. Just give us your feedback on the RHL so far.
I actually enjoy it a lot. I mean, I look forward to it on Mondays. It's great exercise. It's fun. Even when we lose, and obviously we've had a tough season this year just because of – guys have been having a hard time showing up to the games for whatever reason, just through travel and everyday life. But I love the league. It's fun. It's competitive. I think we're in the division that we're in right now is probably the right fit for our skill set. We're always looking to add talent, but so far I like the league. I love the fact that there's refs. They're starting to call the right penalties. Everything's good. The one thing I would suggest is, and I know that we stop the clock if it's a 1-goal game within
the last minute.
The last minute. I do feel like sometimes the face-offs just, and it's not the ref's fault or anybody else's fault, but it just takes a long time to develop. Maybe it's like 30, 40 seconds sometimes before we actually take a face-off. And so, I don't know, maybe just a slowdown on the clock or like a 10-second runoff. That's just, but I know that it's, the timing of it is difficult. And it's difficult if it's a 3 or 4 goal game, then it's, maybe we do it to a 2-goal game.
Okay.
But I don't know. Those are just things because there are times when a team is pressuring. We got a little momentum, or vice versa. A team has momentum on us, and the clock's just going to run out through face-offs. So that's just. But other than that, everything is exactly the way I would want it.
No, thank you. And we're looking at obviously the biggest issue we have is logistics in terms of paying for it.
I know.
And get the games in, and I know on top of that to make sure the cost is low too. Keep the cost
affordable
as well too.
It's true.
But maybe if we vote right now in place, we'll see how the survey goes out. But maybe longer games to make it. Yeah, that would be kind of
that's true.
And maybe
that's
more
true.
Too. So
that's true. That's true.
Let's not talk about the Wheelers. Bringing you back into the Wheelers. Obviously, as you mentioned earlier, a disappointing regular season. You guys finished 1-7 in last place. I had you pegged as the co-favorite in this division, and I kept saying, "Hey, wait, this is not a 117. It's not a 117."
Yeah, and then Kyle showed up, right?
yeah, that's right. But as you mentioned, the issue really is attendance. In any sport, the ball hockey, rec hockey, even in NHL, if the players aren't there, you're going to struggle. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
So the 1-7 record was misleading. Now, with that being said, this past Monday night, you were the 4 seed going against the 1 seed, and everybody we had in the show kind of feels it was going to be an upset possibility. Not that Little Big Men aren't a good team; they're a good team. But
they are a good team.
Definitely underrated, under the radar. And you guys came through. Not only did you cover, you actually won the game outright, and you actually dominated the game. And now was Kyle there? Good point. That Kyle had a terrific game, but the Wheelers played well. Yourself, Kyle, all had good games. What was the turning point? Was it just confidence that Kyle was there? But
no, I think I think Tony said it. Said it to me when we were outside the rink. Right before we're going in, he's just like it's nice to play with a lead. Mm-hmm. It's more comfortable to play with a lead, and so I think because we got up early, we were able to play better defense. We were able to, not have to pinch up. We didn't have to leave ourselves vulnerable in the back. And so, because of that, it just helped us with game flow. We played a much better defensive game. That was by far our best defensive game of the season. We were blocking shots. We were staying in front of guys. And, they had some odd man breaks and they had some shots on goals. But, Fez, or Dennis came up huge.
Yes,
he was
a great game. Yeah.
He was he was like a wall, and so that helped us. But I do think we blocked a lot of shots defensively. We played well, and having Kyle, carry us on offense, which he's a stud, is always going to make a difference for us.
Let's talk about Kyle a little bit here. We'd be remiss if we talk about Kyle. How did you guys discover Kyle, and tell me what it's like to play with Kyle?
I think that he is somebody that Al brought in.
Okay.
And so, ever since he's joined the team and every time that he participates, I feel like we always have a chance. Doesn't matter who it is. I just always feel like he gives us good offense. He can keep the pressure on the other team. He can obviously handle the puck. So it's great to play with him. He takes a lot of pressure off of us having to pinch up or score goals. And so it's nice. It's nice having a guy that can go the length of the ice every time.
Also, if people watch the video, because we had that this past week, the game was broadcasted live and also on YouTube channel as well too. He also comes back on back check. So a lot of times he's in the zone and then the play turns around. He's the first one back with his team. So
well, if you notice, we actually play him on defense. his position is defense,
I
and
didn't even know that.
so
Okay.
yeah, and so he's our best defenseman too. And so we have him on defense, and that's worked out for us. And we've, I think it's him and Al that play on defense, and it helps us because they're two great players, and we know that they're always going to be able to push up and give us some help on offense if need be, but they can always skate back too. And so that formula of not having him play offense and play defense has helped.
Terrific. Now the Wheelers obviously haven't won a cup in this league yet. I know you guys have been wanting one for a while, and I think last.
Well,
season,
we did last season. We should have won that one, right?
You won the Fonz. I see that, and you lost the Fonz, correct? And this season, obviously record-wise, you are the upset finalist. Now you're playing the Hurricanes, and against the Hurricanes, you're 0-2. You've lost in the opener 7-2 when you didn't have anybody there in the first place. That game really is a wash.
That was tough.
And then they crushed you 12-3, so I'm not sure who was at that game either. So both games are blowouts. So
they're a good team.
Yes, they're a good team.
They're a good team, and what the thing about them is that they always show up. They're a team that a lot of the guys, and not saying anything bad, but a lot of the guys are always there. Our guys sometimes just have other commitments that's difficult, and so it becomes a little bit of a challenge. But I think we're going to have a good group on Monday, and I think we're gonna have a full squad. So hopefully it'll be an even match there.
Now against the Hurricanes, you face your old goaltender.
Yeah.
Here, Pezbaik is going to be. He's not the coach of that. There was he dropped.
Yeah,
down.
he lost us the championship last year. So we're. I'm kidding,
oh,
Fez.
Wow.
I know you're our goalie next year. I'm kidding.
So knowing Fez as he was your teammate, what is the best way to beat Fez? Because he's going to be a key piece. You have to have confidence.
He's tough. I mean, he's tough to beat too. And so if he's on his game, it's going to be hard. I think maybe if you go low on him, I feel like if he sees it, he's going to stop it. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like maybe going low, getting through some screens, screening out some of the shots, I think is going to help. But it's going to be tough. They also have good defense in front of them. Those guys are pretty big and they're skilled, and so
their best player. So obviously Dennis Owen, the superstar scorer there. How do you? I know you've got Kyle, they've got Dennis. Is there a question of who has more goals? How do you counter and how do you defend Dennis?
I think our goal is going to be to obviously try to get an early lead like we did last game. Against a tough opponent. And then that way it just helps us on defense. We can play back a little bit as long as we get a lead and then counterattack, which is, I think, what we did well, last game. I feel like that's going to be the best way for us to at least approach the game, but you never know how it's going to unfold. Obviously they could put, 3 goals past us pretty quickly. They're a skilled team. And so then we'll have to adjust. But Kyle's going to play a lot of minutes, and I'm sure that all our top players are going to have to step up. They're a tough team. There's no doubt about it. They don't have a lot of weaknesses, I'd say.
What is the one key strategy or player that must come through for you to win this on Monday? Besides normal Kyle's going to be great. I understand that. But an unsung hero, someone's going to step up and do a good job, or a particular area like penalty killing, or maybe a face-off. What is one area to focus on for you to take this cup next on Monday?
I'm going to say that our entire defense just has to play the same way that we played last game. If as long as we don't allow them to just shoot at will at Dennis. And make him stop a ton of shots, I think we'll have a chance. But I think, I can't single out one player, but I think if we all play defensive, style hockey, I think that will help us.
High scoring game favors you, or low scoring game favors you?
I think a higher scoring game does not favor us. I think a lower scoring game,
There you go. Well, it'll be a fun game. Love to see. I'm sure you're going to be there as well too. It's going to be broadcast again live on Facebook, so you and
I
your
like it.
kids can watch as well too if you want. They
I
want to.
love it. I love it.
Hopefully, good luck, and hopefully you guys can.
What's the spread? What is the spread? Do we know the spread yet, or are we waiting to find roster?
Who shows up? The spread's always going to change, and who's going to show up. But if everybody shows up, I think the Wheelers actually are a favorite. God, believe it or not, the Wheelers.
Yo, you learned your lesson from last game.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate that. It was a great conversation.
Yeah,
and good luck to you this Monday for the Wheelers against the Hurricanes.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Suds. Pleasure being with you.
Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.